Hey guys, it's good to see you again. Now, today I want to give you one tip that may prevent you from damaging your surround sound receiver or any other amplifier for that matter. One tip that may prevent you from even killing it completely. Now, in front of me on this table here, I have a fairly modern receiver. It's not spectacular in any way, but it's a fairly decent receiver. It's a Dolby Atmos receiver. So by today's standard, it's a fairly decent receiver. It has HD, it has most of the amenities. Bluetooth, Dolby Atmos. It does Dolby Vision, DTS-X, um, you know, and DTS Virtual X. All right. So it's a fairly modern receiver. All right. Now, most receivers, because they have to power so many speakers at once, they tend to generate a lot of heat. Or they generate some heat. And what most of the manufacturers would do, they design them in such a way that they have all these cutouts on the hope you're able to see them. All these cutouts on the top, because if you know anything about heat rises. All right, heat goes up. So the majority of receivers that you will buy on the market today will have these cutouts on the top. They're basically air vents, right? This is how as the unit create heat while it's working. This is how the heat kind of escape from it, so that the whole internals does not get too hot, if you know what I mean. All right. So there's some on the back, and on the top, but there's also some on the bottom, as you can see here. All right. Some companies will even put some on the sides too, right? Like on the sides, right? But there's one thing that we have to remember when we are doing our speaker connection, right? And this is very important. This is the tip I want to give you, right? If you are stripping speaker wires, this is a speaker wire. One end here I have banana plugs, and this end is just bare wire. I don't want to hold it. I don't even want to go too near to this. Yeah. So if you are stripping speaker wire, right? Never, I'm going to repeat it, never, stand like this, right, with a knife. I hope there are no loose strands here. Let me just move it away. With a knife, close by, your receiver, stripping wires, stripping your speaker wire over these vents. Right? Never do that. Right? One of the easiest way to kill your receiver, and this is the tip today, one of the easiest way to kill your receiver is allowing one little strand of this speaker wire here, one little strand of this, to fall through one of these vents here on the top and get onto your circuit board. Sometimes people will have, not in all cases, but in some instances, a receiver will start malfunction. And sometimes the culprit is just one of these or something metal, particle, but in some cases, it's one of these one little strand of speaker wire just got into between these vents onto your circuit board and causes a short circuit somewhere, knocking out one little piece, one little, component that is critical for the function of the whole unit. And you start getting errors, you start getting all kind of weird stuff happening. And in the more severe cases, sometimes the receiver just stops working and you wonder what happened to your precious, robust receiver. I'm not saying, this step is really more or less for newbies. And I'm not saying as a newbie, you would not have the common sense to know this. But I think, it's always good to share tips from time to time. I'm just sharing this tip for you right now. If you're new to this game, if you're new to this hobby, all right, this is something that you should avoid at all cost. You buy your new shiny receiver or unit and you bring it home. You take it out of the box, or like I'm doing. I have this unit sitting on this table in front of me here, right? And you're prepping it. You're prepping speaker wires, and you're stripping, with a knife, and for whatever reason, for some weird fluke, some weird way, a strand of this should get into your receiver, guys, and it could screw up the whole unit. So never do that. Never do that. As a matter of fact, just hold that thought. Hold that thought. If you have to strip speaker wires on a regular basis, one of the best investment is something like this, right? This is a wire stripper. This is and you can pick up these probably at any electronic store, component store, or do they have those stores again? Or places which sell stuff for electricians. I'm sure if you go to maybe Home Depot, or Lowe's, you will be able to get something like this. This is a wire stripper, and if you're new to this home theater thing, most speaker wires comes in gauges. Gauges is just the thickness of the copper inside of the plastic sheath here. The thickness of the wire determines the gauge, and that is how speaker wires are rated, right? The lower the gauge is, the thicker the wire. Pardon me. The lower the gauge, the thicker the wire is. But that's beside the point right now. What I'm trying to say, if you have to strip speaker wires regularly, it's always good to invest in something like this, right? And essentially, you just, according to the gauge of speaker wire that you buy, you would match it up to the gauges that are, written on this, and you can get off the plastic sheath from the wire very easily, twist and turn, and you just pull it off. All right, that's a safer way. But even then, you still do not want to do this close to your unit. You understand? Avoid stripping speaker wires close to your unit, because if one strand of this fall into down here through these air vents into the unit, and it should land in the wrong spot, your receiver is as good as dead. All right? So that's the tip I want to share with you today, guy. Sometimes we have receivers and it's malfunctioning. I'm not saying this is the only reason why receivers malfunction. There are many other reasons that can cause it. That can cause, sometimes it's a manufacturer's defect, sometimes it's a power surge, sometimes it's just a piece of component that has malfunctioned for whatever reason. Many reasons. But in terms of a user error, this could be critical in saving, the life of your receiver. Do not strip speaker wires over or close to your receiver or any amplifier that has ear vents on the top, while prepping your speaker wires, to connect up your system. All right, that's what I'm trying to say. All right, so that's all I want to share with you today, guys. I hope this was a useful tip, and I hope that if you're new to this hobby, it's a nice takeaway. If you like what I share on the channel, give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe if you feel like it. So until the next video, you have a good day and take care of yourself, and thank you so much for watching. All right, happy listening.